just blurted out that when you're young, you don't appreciate a good wife. A second later, I went from being a perpetually single guy to being reborn in the body of an abusive man. He was an 18th-rate guitarist who somehow managed to marry a famous pop queen. After getting married, they even had a lovely daughter, but the good times didn't last. Ever since his precious daughter was born, the original owner's band broke up. But he didn't reflect on his own abilities. Instead, he believed it was all because of these two jinxes bringing him bad luck. So he started drinking and gambling heavily. His temper also grew more and more violent, and often, after losing money or getting drunk, he would abuse the mother and daughter. Reading the memories up to this point, I looked at the empty wine bottle raised in my hand, then at the mother and daughter in the corner, who were terrified like startled birds. A sense of nausea and anger, like I'd never felt before, erupted in my chest. Clang! I let go. The beer bottle fell hard to the ground. This sudden noise made the mother and daughter in the corner startle and flinch. Song Xingyao, almost instinctively, pulled her daughter's head tightly into her embrace. Her body was tense to the extreme, waiting for the anticipated violence to strike again. I stood in place and took a deep breath, trying to calm the residual violent tendencies in this body and the dizziness from the alcohol. Just as I was about to apologize, my throat felt like it was stuffed with cotton, unable to make a sound. Seeing me about to step forward, Song Xingyao let out a terrified cry. Her body shrank backward until her back was pressed against the wall. Finally, she fearfully raised her head, and in those eyes that once sparkled like the stars, there was only pleading. Lin Jian, all the money is here. This is really all that's left. She tremblingly took out from her pocket a handful of small change. There was a 5 yuan bill, a few 1 yuan bills, and a few coins. She threw the money on the ground and pushed it forcefully towards me. Her voice was choked with sobs. Go buy your alcohol. Go have your fun. Please don't touch Nan. She has to go to school tomorrow. Song Xingyao's utterly wretched appearance was like a sharp knife, stabbing straight into my heart. Looking at the dozen or so yuan scattered on the floor, my eyes began to burn. After steadying myself, I pointed at Song Xingyao's still bleeding forehead and said with difficulty, "Your wound needs to be treated." As soon as I finished speaking, Song Xingyao was instantly stunned. She looked as if she had heard something unbelievable, but the fear in her eyes didn't lessen at all. Instead, a hint of incredulous shock was added. In this house, his concern usually meant a bigger scheme, or the final calm before the storm. I can handle it myself. I don't need your concern. Song Xingyao hugged Nan tighter and stared at me even more warily. I smiled bitterly to myself. Trust is something that's like a piece of paper. Once it's crumpled, it's very hard to smooth out again. Without saying another word, I turned and walked to the TV nearby and squatted down. I took the first aid kit from the drawer below. I grabbed it and turned back around, only to find that Song Xingyao, while my back was turned, was trying to carry Nan and run to the bedroom. Seeing me suddenly turn back, she was so scared her legs went weak and she almost fell. "Don't move," I shouted instinctively. This shout was probably due to anxiety, so the volume was a bit loud. With a wail, Nan, who had been trying to hold back her tears, finally broke down. She screamed and buried her head in her mother's neck. Her small body trembled uncontrollably. Song Xingyao closed her eyes in despair. Tears streamed down her face. Her body slid down the wall, and she finally slumped to the floor. Seeing this scene, I could no longer suppress the frustration in my heart. I ran straight into the bathroom without looking back and slammed the door shut. I braced my hands on the sink, scooped up a handful of water, and splashed it hard on my face. The cold sensation made my chaotic brain finally clear up a little. I've transmigrated. There's no going back. Since I've taken over this body, I have to bear its karma. Even if it's a hellish start, I have to crawl my way out, step by step. In my past life, I gambled everything for music and died all alone. But in this life, God gave me a wife and a daughter.